Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I hope you had a great keynote. You now know not to lie, right? It's pretty cool. I have been in Europe for a month or so. Been on a Greek island. I went to the NDC conference, and then I went to a Greek island, and I have been super healthy. I have been eating goat for a month. I actually didn't. I know that's not obvious, maybe. I didn't know you could eat goat. I thought you eat goat's milk and goat's cheese. I didn't realize you eat goat. So I've been eating goat for a month. I'm very healthy and really looking forward to this. I wrote this session for NDC Oslo. If you ever get a chance to go to Europe, Norway is a fantastic place to go. Just yesterday, I adjusted the title. What's new in Visual Studio 2017? Because as of now, the title is, they've changed the versioning numbering. So it's now officially Visual Studio 2017 version 15.3. So you know that update system we were using, which is nice and simple? It's now not as simple, but it is clearer. And I did speak to Microsoft last night about some of these changes on the regional director list, and there was a lot of, when you were asking customers what version are you on, there was a lot of internal differences in the internal versions than what we were talking about, so they were always semi-confused. So now you're going to ask your customers what version are you on, and they're going to say 15.3, and you're going to say, is that Visual Studio 2015.3, or are you talking about Visual Studio 2017 version 15.3? There you go. All right, I love how they do this. Anyway, we'll see how we go. So I got a few things. I'll quickly go trip down memory lane. This is where we've come from, 2002, and web forms in 2003, where we got ReSharper, and 2005, where we got generics, which we still love, and Linus started off his Linux kernel, and that was a pretty big thing. We were using Git from this point. So 2008, we got lots of cool stuff. The most cool stuff was Link, and we started getting iPhones and Androids. And in 2010, Windows Phone was released, which we've forgotten about, and we got IntelliTrace. 2012, we got lots of cool stuff, including uppercase menus, and a whole lot of stuff for black and white, a few other things that annoyed us. We got lots of stuff. Microsoft at that point, it was a big deal if you do a lot of unit testing. It was the first time that they actually said, all right, we're embracing unit testing, and we put in the box the support for NUnit and XUnit, etc. And I think there was MB unit back then. And we got they started trying to give us storyboarding features and things that were, tools that weren't really for developers, but they're trying to get us to communicate better. In the reality, most people have gone, most companies have designers and UX guys and using SketchUp and things like that. 2013, well, we got visualstudio.com. The TFS team was forced to give us a cloud version, which was awesome. Many of the other teams also was putting Azure front and center. And Aussies, it's Azure. It's not Azure. I'm Aussie, but I say Azure. Americans invented it. It's their name, so you should call it their name. That's my policy. Anyway, but a lot of the guys in my office don't agree. All right. I think we should have one version of English. Okay? And the Americans, whatever version they use, I think we should copy. Yeah? Fair enough? No. All right. Cool. Typescript was a big deal. We got that as well. And the new Microsoft starts talking to Linus. And that was a big deal. And we started seeing some real changes based on that. And we had, at this point, we had a whole lot of Git support coming and a lot of investment. So that was awesome. So, and Microsoft went from these monster releases where they would boil the ocean for a couple of years, and now they started giving us these updates. And update 1 gave us Git support, which we're excited about. And update 2, we got lots of stuff coming. cloud load testing was pretty important. We got lots of stuff on their TFS side of things as well. And then update 3, they gave us Cordova, and update 4, we got release management. For those people that weren't happy with Octopus, we were all happy with Octopus, right? Who's an Octopus guy in this room? Oh, only less than a quarter. Who's a release guy now? 1. Oh my goodness. Okay, we've got some stragglers. You're Octopus or release guy? You're a bamboo guy, right? Who's a bamboo guy? 2. All right. Now, the rest of you, I got to tell you, maybe we should stop this session and talk about continuous deployment. And that would be handy, because it's more important to ship software than get on the latest version of Visual Studio. I would be curious to know who's here. Who's a Visual Studio guy and who's a VS Code guy? Who's primarily a Visual Studio guy in the room? Oh, almost everyone, 95%. Who's a primarily VS Code guy? 3. All right. So we have 97% of the room, I would say, on Visual Studio. We will talk about that during this session. Talking about frameworks, who's a MVC or Angular or React or something? Who's primarily an MVC guy? More than half the room. Who's primarily an Angular guy? Oh, only a few. Who's a React guy? Oh, the same, a few. Any other ones? Vue? Any Vue guys? Oh, the redhead, he has to be different. All right, yes, we might talk about Vue as well, but I'll just tell you very quickly, Vue is super cool as well. I know there's so many things to keep track of, but Vue, we have an office in China, and all they talk about is Vue, because Alibaba use Vue. Okay, Alibaba is like the coolest company in the world, and Jack Ma, he's like Richard Branson times 10, and he's really funny and really cool, and everyone loves him. And you know, that is a massive, massive organization, and they do a lot of stuff with Vue. But anyway, let's keep on track here. So, and then we got Roslyn in 2015, and we got lots of cool stuff helping us work with Xamarin. And at this point, we got Asp.NET Core, which they were calling Asp.NET 5 at the time. I'm glad they renamed that. That would have been confusing. So, and that's where we are. So essentially, we got lots of small things. We got auto updates in our extensions, and Microsoft have really given us a long, long trip down this Visual Studio path. Okay, we got the marketplace, and you can see we got add references very easily. They got some of these ideas from ReSharper, I guess. And who's a ReSharper guy in the room? Okay, that's 3/4. The rest of you, the quarter that doesn't have it, there's some homework for you. Go and get it. It's really important. So here we are, Visual Studio 2017, and as I just told you, a new version, and let's find out what's cool and what's not. I guess what I should tell you is just yesterday they announced ASP.NET Core 2, or Core 2. So you will want to grab that. Anyone in the room already downloaded it, installed it, and tried it out? Just a couple. All right, few. All right, good. Excellent. That is really important, and it's a big release. You'll see lots of cool stuff in it. I'm still discovering myself. It's hot off the press, and it's super cool, and I'll go through some of that stuff. All right, a little about me. I am the Chief Architect at SSW. We have a booth here, and it's a great investment for us and for everyone else. I am very well known for crashing a Tesla. And there it is. But I've got to tell you, it was a Photoshop job. I was trying to trick my wife. I put it on Facebook. My wife always says she's never on Facebook. But every time I look at her, she's on Facebook, but she's never on it. So I decided my daughter texted me and said, Dad, can you play a trick on Mum? It's April Fool's. And I replied back, what do you want me to do? And she goes, I don't know, you'll think of something. And I'd had the Tesla for a week. I hadn't had insurance, and she was freaking out about it. I'm a very safe driver. If I was her, I'd be freaking out, but she didn't have to worry with me. And so then I sent a photo of the car to one of the designers at the company. I said, "Can you make it look like it's crashed?" And I'll put it on Facebook. And so he sent that back to me, and I put it on Facebook. Coincidentally, my wife was watching it just at that point in time. And she calls me, and she says, "Are you an idiot? Get that thing off the internet." And I think she was kind of encouraging me to do insurance fraud or something. Yes, I'm not sure. But then recently I crashed my motorbike. And of course I had everyone telling me it was a joke. I broke 4 ribs, punctured my lung, did a whole lot of damage, but I'm all right. In fact, when I went to Oslo, I just did a Tough Mudder, so that was all good. All right, so, alrighty. Also soccer coach. So, I will just quickly go through the biggest user gripes. So the biggest user gripes I've grabbed off user voice. And they want .NET builds without installing Visual Studio. This is a big ticket, okay? And I'll just tell you very quickly, that's done. You can go onto your build server, and instead of spending half a day installing Visual Studio, you can just download this buildagent.zip, and in less than probably 20 minutes, you're good to go. All right. Now there were workarounds for the old one as well. You could actually get around that in the 2015 days, but it wasn't legal. So obviously a lot of companies didn't want to do that. But now it's all fully supported and it's good to go. Now I'm not going to tell you the others. I'm going to come to them throughout the talk. But this is a really popular one. People want that web.config style transforms, and they want to do it on any config file. And some say do it on any file at all, okay? I like the idea of doing it on any config file, but I'm not sure I'd like to see it on any file at all. You know how like SQL Server, you can have tables and every now and then something goes weird, and then you find out some developer wrote a trigger and you never think to look for a trigger because it's so hidden. I reckon that would be scary. You'd forget and weird things would happen. Anyway, non-nullable reference types are very popular. We've got some Windows 10 universal app requests. Some of you have already glazed over as soon as I mentioned universal apps. We've got this. We want a better null pointer exception error. People don't like the object reference not set to an instance of an object. And we want XAML debugging. And we want Visual Studio to be quicker to run. And we want a task manager in there that's got 1,700 votes. I want this one because some of our guys in our office won't run ReSharper, and they always use the reason, I think it slows down my machine, but they're never sure. Anything that happens, poor ReSharper gets the blame. Anyway, they want solutions to load faster. They're sick of seeing this, okay? And they want to stop the dependency on IE, and they want Chrome and Firefox support. All right, so let's talk about .NET Core. Who's on .NET Core at the moment? Who's running their solution on .NET Core? Only a few. Okay, all right. I am going to tell you where we stand at SSW. We did a .NET Core solution in beta in the 2015 beta days. And we had a bit of trouble with it. There was a lot of updates and stuff, and I heard a few complaints during the sprint reviews. I thought that that team went and did another project on .NET Core, and I can tell you so I kind of thought it was a side thing, but in the last 12 months, no new projects have started at SSW that haven't been on .NET Core. Okay, so it's really been rock solid for us. It's how our web API is done. Most of our projects are Angular front ends. Not all of them, but most of them. Okay, it is a huge update, and I will recommend you go to any of the .NET Core 2 sessions during the conference. It's brand new and it's really important. Okay, there was many reasons people wanted this and they liked it. I know only a few of you have got experience on it, but these are the main reasons. It's faster. People can develop on their Mac, okay? People can deploy to Linux. People can, the whole thing has been open sourced. Of those 4 reasons, which one's the most important to you? Who says the number one reason they want to use Core is for performance? Hands up. Okay, so that's maybe 2/3 of the room. Who says it's because they want to develop on their Mac or something like that? Just a few. And who says it's because they want to deploy where they want to Linux or whatever? Okay, so that's maybe a third. And who cares about the open source story? Oh, right, about 10 or 11. Yeah, the open source story to a lot of people means that it will get a larger market share. It'll get more traction. It's seen as a really important thing to a lot of people. Okay, I asked this question in Brisbane, and that was one of I think it was the second biggest reason people liked it. So in some communities, it's really important. Alrighty, so last year when I went through this, and I told you, this is what I explained. There's no more CS_proj. It's all project.json. No more web.config. We go config.json, and there's no more packages.config. It's packages.json. All right? So, alrighty. So, Microsoft released this blog post, and they said, when we started building .NET Core and ASP.NET Core, it was important to have a project system that worked across Windows, Mac, and Linux, and worked in editors other than Visual Studio. The new project.json format was created to facilitate this. The feedback from customers is they loved our new project.json model, but they wanted their projects to be able to work with the existing .NET code that they already had. And basically, what they're trying to say, and they're trying to say, sorry, we changed our mind, we've gone back. Okay? So, welcome back. So any stuff that I told you last year, forget about it. We're just still going CS_proj, and we're going web.config all the way, and you can use packages.config if you want. So, if you want to migrate back, which doesn't sound like any of you do, because you haven't gone there, but you just open your folder and it will pop open and say, hey, you should review your project. These projects are either not supported or need project behavior impacting modifications. There's nothing here that says sorry. That makes it sound like you made a mistake. But anyway, you click OK and you're good to go. If you want to do it command line, you just go .NET migrate and you're done. Nice green message, everything. So it's very, very painless. All right, and before I told you about DNX and DNVM and KPM for our package manager, and we've been watching that evolve over on github.com, and you kind of saw that you downloaded the install, you used DNX to install, you restored your packages, and then you ran your application with DNX. All changed. So it's now .NET Run, .NET Upgrade, and .NET Restore. Isn't that simple? Nice and easy, super easy. In fact, probably the first thing you should do now, if we should go .NET -- version before you do anything. See, that is version 2.0. That's what you want to have. If you don't have version 2, a whole lot of things inside Visual Studio aren't going to light up for you. So get that, okay? And we'll talk about that in a sec.
Adam?
Yes? Okay, Bill you should go to Bill's session too, but he's basically saying that .NET Restore runs automatically. You don't even have to run it. Did that happen while I was in Greece? Oh, okay, it's part of what happened last night with the 2.0 drop. Thank you. All right, we've got a unit tester live in the audience. Okay, fantastic. All right, and you're going to watch this evolve just like it has in the future on GitHub. This is a whole new world for us. Okay, and so you just go here, and it's a nice simple system. .NET New, .NET, and .NET Run. Okay, thank you. I'll put a big strike through that. Okay. All right, so let's have a look at this. .NET New, nice and simple. Just create a project with some files in it. .NET Restore, and it's going to go off and grab all the packages. And then we have .NET Run. And this is just a console app, so it's nice and simple. So that's done. And now we've got our hello world. That's as simple as it is. Sweet. All right, so just in summary, it creates a console app, and you'll just see a couple of files in the folder. Nothing much. Let's get on to something more important. Okay, So .NET Restore, grab the files, and then .NET Run builds and runs a project. What I'd like to do is do this for a web project. Now, web projects, slightly different. Okay, .NET New -T Web. Now, Bill is about to correct me, and he's going to say, we've just dropped the -T. Yes, that's true. That happened in Greece. Anything that happened in Greece doesn't count. All right. So, .NET New Web, .NET Restore, Automag, and .NET Run. Awesome. Now, one of the things you'll notice is we have a new web server that they've created called a Kestrel Web Server. That will be running as you do this, and I'll just show you that. So we go .NET New -T Web, enter, and .NET New .NET Restore. That'll go off, look at the what packages need to be brought in, and then we've got .NET Run. Now this will kick open the Kestrel Web Server, and things will start running, and it will give you some instructions there to go to localhost :5000, if you can see that there, and we are good to go. And so that's the web server running, and we would then pop open to the browser and type localhost :5000, and we are in business. All right. Great, that is awesome. And so what it does is, in this case, rather than a couple of files, you'll see a whole folder full of stuff, okay, based on what was pulled down in the restore process. And that is all defined, those NuGet packages are defined and customizable. And then we've got the Kestrel Web Server. If you look closely, I guess not many of you will ever bother, and it doesn't really matter, but if you look, you can see that the first thing is the home controller is being requested, and then down here we've got the CS HTML files being requested, and then you can see all the static content, the CSS files, the JPEG files, any of those JavaScript files are all coming through, and then you just see them. All right, so the next version, you'll be able to pull open your iPhone to open up the Cortana app and go create me a website. All right? No, it's just a joke, don't worry. The version after, we'll be able to, as you saw in the keynote, just think about it with our HoloLens device on, and it should be good. So all the stuff you will learn today, you won't need next year. Okay, so in summary, it's blazingly fast, and I haven't got the new numbers for 2.0, but I bet you it's even better. Is it, Bill? Faster? He said they're working on it. That sounds like a Donald Trump answer. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be great. All right. All right, runs on Windows, Linux, and Mac, and it's very simple to run. All righty. Who is impressed with .NET Core? Who looks at that and goes, I don't think I want to do my next project on it? So 100% of the room are sold on it. There you go. All right. There, we're all sold. That was quick. All right. Okay, we went from 3 to 100. Awesome. So now you've got to choose your front end, and we'll talk about some of that stuff. Now you can go Angular, React, Vue, okay? And there's, Angular is for an entire system. React is for pieces, and Vue is if Angular and React had sex, that's what you'd end up with. Okay. All right. Now there is Aurelia. Is there any Aurelia guys here? There's 2. That's 2 of the 16 in the world, but they're extremely noisy. So I put the 4th choice down there because they make a lot of noise and they would make a complaint to the NDC guys. All right. So it's hard to choose. Now, I just went and got the numbers. Now, this is pre-Greece trip. I'm sure something's changed. But if you go with Angular, and I'm not counting Angular JS, Angular 1, Angular 2 and 3, and there's no 3, but Angular 2 and 4 and 5, that is the new style, and that's still pretty popular. 1.5 million downloads a couple months ago, month and a half ago, or whenever. React. Now, React they haven't segregated their community. They're just one React, and it's 4.5 million downloads. So it's big. But we're not comparing apples and apples. And there's Vue, and that's 500,000. But I reckon that's growing, and that's important. And of course, there's Aurelia, 25,000 1,000. All right, there you go. Alrighty. So, oh, by the way, this is a photo of a train in Norway. Like, when you go to Norway, it is the most advanced civilization you've ever seen. Like, the roads are just full of Teslas. Like, you know, I see a Tesla here and I'm really excited. And, you know, the whole, if I don't spot it, then my kids will try to not say anything because I will just start talking about Tesla again. I love Norway. It's, you know, it's a very expensive place, but they're also loaded. You know, they're all making money off all the oil and stuff. And I got there, and this time I agreed that before my talk, I would go to a friend, a fellow regional director, and go to his company and do a talk. So I probably shouldn't have, because it's such a long trip. And then I didn't understand I had to get in a train when I got to Oslo station, and it was another 8 hours in a train. But he'd booked me K for comfort. Do you like that? So I was in K class, comfort class. So anyway, I fell asleep, put my alarm on. I'm a very sad boy today because my band has stopped working. I had this band for years, and it just died on me. Now I have to rely on stupid Apple Watch, which I can't work out. Anyway, so I have the alarm on, and I wake up when I get there, and I go and do the talk, and I stay there, and it's a beautiful little town. I have some most awesome photos. And then I get in the train back. Do you notice anything wrong with this photo? It took me a while to notice. But huh? You can't see anything? Well, I've never seen one track going both ways. And what happens, and as soon as I worked it out, I go, what's going on here? And then the train pulls over, and then another train comes flying through. And now I realise I'm in K for comfort. I'm right at the front. Now I cannot sleep. It was the most dangerous system for a country that is so rich. I couldn't believe that they could have one train track and just keep pulling over. It's like, imagine a freeway you did this. This would be crazy stuff. Anyway, that's just a warning. Never get on a train in Norway. It's very bad. All right, so let's move along. We now need to choose whether we're going VS Code or Visual Studio 2017, version 15.3. All right? So, I know that almost everyone in the room is a Visual Studio guy, but VS Code is an important tool in your arsenal. I'm going to encourage you to get on it. And let's go through it. The history of this. We have, in 1983, we get Notepad. Then we get Notepad++, which I assume we all have. And then we get Sublime, and then Atom, and then Microsoft do a really weird thing. They come out and give us VS Code, and we go, why do you want to give us a text editor? Why don't you just make Visual Studio faster? What is all this? This is weird. Anyway, several months later, they open source on GitHub, and they give us a preview, and then they give us a version 1, and it's released, and there's been lots of updates. And if you look at that, we've had this for a couple of years. This is mature time, okay? And I can tell you all the guys in our office run this each day. But we do a lot of Angular, and I'll tell you why. If you look at this, this is the trends. You will see that Notepad++ is the big one. Now, there is this, when people do trends for you, be aware if they don't change the categories here, see the categories, there's a problem. Okay, so you change it to development tools, and you'll see things a little bit more accurately. So there you can see Sublime is kind of the big dude. All right, so we have these front-end developers, these hipsters. Now, I can see a couple of hipsters in the room, okay, but you know, these hipsters have a certain style, okay? They do not want Visual Studio, it's too big and slow. They want to use their Macs, okay? They are very comfortable with JavaScript, frameworks, HTML, CSS. They love React, they love Angular. They probably download Vue on the train on the way in. They're really cool. Now, you guys think this is a hipster, but I want you to know, I was just tricking you. That's not a hipster. That is that sleazy dude that dumped our Kylie. He just looks like a hipster, but look how ugly he is without his hat on. Yes. Anyway, now let's talk about real guys. These guys, we know that Visual Studio is slow. We don't care. We like Windows, we like productivity. We want Intellisense, navigating code and peak. We want CodeLens. We want good debugging tools. We don't mind. We don't mind the price we pay. It's all cool. So we have front-end developers where the light bulb is broken and they cover the light bulb with yellow paint, and then they tell the back-end that the light bulb now works, but just during the day. Okay, and these are the type of people we have to deal with a lot. Okay. Now I want you to be aware, when I go into companies and I'm talking to CIOs, CTOs a lot, multiple times every week, and we typically are talking about the front end. They want to know opinions about Angular or React or some other JavaScript library, or basically what I think, and I want you to be aware, I consider VS Code this part of whatever we're talking about with all these guys, whatever we're talking about, it's going to be gone in 2 or 3 years, for sure. The stuff that we spend a disproportionately small amount of discussion is the services. The things that are going to stick there, which I can guarantee will still be sitting there in 5 years' time. Okay? So I'm just giving you guys the same warning to try to keep remembering it's very easy to keep talking about the front-end JavaScript frameworks, but spending an equal amount of time having nice architecture on your services so they're rock solid is a much better way to go. Anyway, that is the part I consider the Visual Studio side. All right? Now you can do both on either way around, but that's kind of the way our company is standardized. Most of the guys doing their Angular and React stuff in VS Code and their services in Visual Studio. And some are doing it the other way around, but anyway. So front-end developers, you can see that .NET developers, front-end developers are more popular to talk about it. So it's a light download. There's lots and lots of languages that's supported. It's got Git built in, lots and lots of cool extensions. Here's IntelliSense working beautifully. It's as good as Visual Studio. Let's have a look at Peak. You don't want to go into another file. You don't want to lose context. That looks quite slick too, okay? So no problems there, having a quick look. All right, so let's just look at that again. So you're just in there rather than using go to definition. We just have a peek and it looks quite nice. So let's go through the experience of using VS Code so you know what it's like. Okay, we're going to go File New, Project Awesome. And here we are. And when you go File New, you get a whole series of folders. The same as going .NET Web. Remember we went command line before? This is the exact same set of files. All right, what do we want to do now? We just want to open the solution and press F5, right? So let's do that. So you press this little button, okay? That's kind of your F5. Let's click it, and it goes, hello, what do you want? And you go, ooh, what do I want? I want .NET Core. That's the guy I want, this guy. All right, so we're going to select that. And when we select it, a couple of files pop in here, launch.json and task.json. And then over here, you will start looking at launch.json, and you go, oh, that's pretty cool. Fantastic. Let's try that again. Now I've got the required files. We'll come in this little guy again, and let's click it. And we go, oh, what's going on? No task runner configured. Oh, sorry about that. I will configure a task runner, so let's configure that. Which one? Well, Grunt is dead, isn't it? Gulp is almost dead. I'll use .NET Core. Okay, let's choose that guy. All right, let's try this again. Number 3, let's click it. You ready? Third time lucky. Whoa, error. Launch.json must be configured. Change program to the path to the executable. Oh, that's weird. What did I do wrong here? All right, I'll just click open. Okay, hey, you wrote this file. This wasn't my file. You added this file. Now I'm doing errors and stuff you did. Okay, put your hand up if you see the error. 3, come on, a few more, 4. Come on, Bill. Oh, 5, oh. Bill's too cool to put up his hand. All right, he's not too cool to correct me, but he won't put up his hand. Oh, all right. So here is, it's not called, what they should do is enter the right name here in uppercase. Then you might have all seen it quicker. Okay, so now we start looking at that. Oh, better understand this file since you put it there, and we start Googling this. We find Hanselman's blog post on it, and then there's half a day gone, but we learn a few cool things. Path of the Dotnet Core app, and oh wow, you launched this browser, auto launch. Oh, if I'm using OS X and Linux, oh great, this is really cool stuff. What else can I learn about? Anyway, half a day later, we're back here again, and we click. Okay, we fix this up to projectawesome.dll, and we come here, and we're ready to go. Alrighty, let's click it. Bingo. Oh, what the hell? Debug, download .NET Core debugger. Open. Well, this is ridiculous. What is this? So I have to know where this command palette is. You'll learn it first time. It's very quick. If you don't know the keystrokes, you'll start learning all the keystrokes, but you go into the View menu, and you open this command palette. And you download this thing, this .NET Core debugger. And then you start seeing this thing called downloading OmniSharp. Downloading OmniSharp. Now I'm going to tell you about this thing because I think it's a cool story. The guy that developed OmniSharp is a random dude doing a normal .NET developer in Manchester, the UK. Okay? Now I don't know what it's like in Manchester, but you could probably tell me, Jared. It's a cool place. North of the what? North of the wall? Like Game of Thrones. Oh, Game of Thrones. All right. Okay. Do you see Sam Newman? He looks like he's Game of Thrones, doesn't he? So anyway, Jason Emerson, he decides, he's been just coding .NET at work for years, and he wants to do a little startup. He wants to do his pet project at home. So he told me, because I asked him how this came about, and he said, oh, I just wanted to do this project at home, but I didn't want to feel like it was at work. So I wanted a completely different environment. So I decided to do this project in Linux. Okay, and he starts using this Emacs thing, and after a period of time, he goes, I really, really need to, I need Intellisense. I can't get my job done. So what he decides, I don't know what you decide at that point when you need Intellisense, he decides to write an Intellisense. Talk about a distraction. Anyways, so he writes an Intellisense library for himself. And there he goes, continues on his little project at home every night. And then some blog he reads one day says, I'm using Vim. I'm doing this C# project. Gee, I wish I had Intellisense. And he puts a comment. He shows me the blog post. I put a comment. Oh, I've done this for you. I've done this for myself. Do you want the code? I could give it to you. He goes, yeah, I'd love the code. He goes, so he goes up to GitHub, creates a project, has to give it a name. He wants to call it C# Everywhere. And then he gets creative. You know what I should do is I should make it more cool. I'll make it everywhere C#. And so he switches those names around. And then he goes, what's the Greek word? I don't know, he's not Greek. But what's the Greek word for everywhere? Omni. I'll call OmniSharp. So he creates a GitHub project. Once you do that, it creates a life of its own. So he gets it going in Vim and Emacs. And then some random dudes in South Korea create a Sublime one as well. So now we've got Intellisense in Sublime, and all this goes off. So isn't the community amazing? A couple of years later, David Fowler from the .NET team, he contacts Jason and says, hey, can you come over? We'd like to get this going. And so he goes, that's a bit weird, but anyway, they've got this Monaco editor. He says, David said, we've got this Monaco editor. We'd like you to get it going in that. We think what you're doing is great, and we want it working the browser and stuff. And what they actually did want to do is they wanted it working in code, but they didn't want to tell him. So they just wanted to get it going. And so they get it going in that, and then they put it in VS Code. He rechanges the compiler to Roslyn from looking at the way Xamarin was doing it, and everything's great. Anyway, there's a big distraction. Anyway, we've got OmniSharp. And that's done. So let's run this again. All right, this is the next day now, okay? So we click on this little guy. Where are we up to? Click that guy. Whoa, bingo. So what did you learn? You learnt that you can debug pretty easily. So what were the steps? There was just one hoop to jump through, and then a second hoop, and then a third hoop, and then a fourth hoop. All right, and we are all good to go. So let's do it again. Yes. There's select the environment, configure the task run, update the DLL, download the .NET Core debugger, and you are good to go. Fantastic. Now, what I want to tell you about is how many people here have downloaded the VS Code Insiders version? The Insiders. Not a soul. well, I want to change this. I want you to all start using this, okay? Look, I might even teach Bill a thing or two. No, that's not possible, but I'll try. VS Code Insiders. Now, this is a preview version. This gets updated daily. The experience is much better. You get lots of new features. It's only for real men, okay? It can break. So, let's have a look at what's in here. And if you download this today, now your environment does change daily with little bits and pieces, but let's just do exactly what I just did, File New Project. So, as soon as you open up the project, going File New, I haven't done anything, and it starts downloading OmniSharp, which you know all about now, okay? I didn't do a thing, it just starts downloading that, so it auto detects and downloads what it needs, and then it knows we need this .NET Core debugger as well, Automatic. It says, hey, no error messages. Hey, can I add these projects? It's so much more polite. And you go, sure, whatever. I'm not sure what you mean, but all right, let's take that. And these required assets are added. And you'll see over on the left, launch.json and task.json. All good. Now let's have a look in that launch.json. Remember that one? So that's created. What do you notice? Project awesome. I didn't even have to learn about this launch.json. That was another half day saved. All right. And we are in business. So I'm pretty happy with the whole experience so far. It's been much more pleasant. And whoa, this works. So now obviously this is changing all the time. And now there's updates. So now here's the good thing. Obviously this can break. I asked, like we've been running this for a year now on all our production projects, and I asked the guys, has there been any hassles? They said none. None at all, now, which means there will be one very shortly, okay? Do you know about the left pad problem? The left pad problem, everybody in the world is using NPM. NPM is amazing. There's a random little library called left pad, which I think you just passed in a string with how many extra spaces you needed. And that's all it did. Like it was a 15-line little project that half the world had taken dependencies on. I get calls from all my clients saying that the developers now can't work because why did we take this dependency on NPM? I said, what's the problem? I didn't even understand the problem. Nobody can build anything, and everyone gets a crazy fright from NPM. And from that point forward, everybody wanted to become cool and use Yarn instead of NPM for this one problem. Just to round off that story, I don't know how we got on that story. Whose fault was that? But just to round off that story, so Yarn takes a cache and it doesn't have the problem that NPM had, but NPM have now made policy changes that when you upload your package, if somebody else takes a dependency on it, you grant them rights to cache it, and so neither has the problem anymore, but now we have two choices. Isn't that awesome? Okay, now where are we up to? I cannot remember. Oh yes, so here we are moving along. Yes, so this was an automatic experience, and if you go VS Code Insiders, it's just one hoop to jump through. Look how simple it is. All right. So it's a much nicer experience, bleeding edge features, daily releases. Now you just need to grab all the right extensions. Now if you're an Angular guy, this is the hard part, getting all the cool extensions. I spoke to Duncan Hunter and Adam Stevenson. They are big Angular guys in the company. And these are all the right extensions. The Angular language service, the Angular 4 TypeScript snippets, the Angular 2 inline, the switcher, the bracket pair colorizer, colonize, is that right? Colonize? That doesn't sound very nice. Git history, Quokka, settings sync, TSLint, TypeScript importer, VS Code, Wallaby, serial murderer. No. Okay. So that's all of it. Now, you know Johnny Papa. Johnny Papa is the coolest guy in the world. He's Mr. Angular. Well, now Microsoft, actually. Look at this. He went and created a cool extension. You know what that extension does? It just goes and grabs everything I just said. I don't know why. How did he think of that? All right, he'll probably be famous for that. And all he's done is grab all the other ones. Anyway, very cool. Now I have a question for you. Who likes the look of VS Code and will download it and install it? All right, who does not like the look of VS Code and will keep on Visual Studio? Okay, so there's only a quarter of you that will keep on Visual Studio. The rest of you are going to VS Code. Fantastic. Let's go. Let's move along. Okay, I just want to talk about VS 2017 now. And VS 2017 has just changed. What's the first thing you got to do when you got VS 2017 now? When you get the updates, grab the updates, of course, and you'll be on VS 2017 version 15.3. What do you got to do? You open your command prompt and check that your .NET version is 2.0, and then extra things will light up. Let's go through and let's have a quick look. And you'll see lots of cool things in here. Let's go File, New, Project. What they have here, if you're choosing a web project, .NET Core, what they should do is put a warning on this. Don't use this, okay? You want to go Core, okay? This is for old people, okay? This is for 40-plus people, for 40 years old and over. If you're younger, you choose this. Okay, so .NET Core. Now, we have the Web API and an MVC. Oh, hello. What do we look at here? What's wrong?
The core version.
The core version, thank you. If you have 2.0, you get an extra option. So you'll choose that and go, whoa, more choices. That's pretty cool, whatever it is. Now, we have a Web API. The Web API definitely should be done in Visual Studio if you ask me. If you have a look in here, you'll see lots more stuff they've done. They've supported Microsoft Azure Active Directory, so they've got this B2C stuff going, so that's nice. Of course, if you want a third-party extension, Identity Server would be a good choice. Let's have a look at what they offer here. Identity Server. They have put Auth0 here. I would like to see Auth0 listed, but anyway, there's lots of. But anyway, they're out of the box. They're sorting out security for you. Okay, soon there won't be any need for Troy Hunt. Okay. All right. Then, this was the MVC solution we had before. And a lot of developers, especially just corporate developers that don't want to do massive projects, they just want to do a small project, deploy it. I don't want to understand infrastructure. I just want to write neat HTML, but I don't need all this MVC stuff. I just want to go File, New Page, do my stuff and get it done. Well, they've given you this new web application Razor syntax. I would encourage you to have a look at it. There'll be sessions on this. If I went there, it's a very simple setup, not folders everywhere. It's real simple. That's the old way. Hold on. I know you're all chomping at the bit for the red one. Hang on. If you've got React as well in the box. This is exciting. It's in the box. I can tell you, this amount of pain just getting to here is enormous for new developers. And if you want to do a large React project, you'll want Redux. You want this one. Now, what it should say is cool. Cool people choose this. All right? Now, although they kind of did say it with their beautiful red icon. Now, this is Angular 2+, and we'll go in and create one. Let's have a look. Now, when people come for a job at SSW, we have a test where they do something in Angular. Now, a lot of them haven't done Angular. We just want to test their Angular skills, not their skills getting the whole thing up and running in the beginning. So we actually had to, where's a browser? We have these rules to better Angular, and this wasn't enough. So for the new guys just coming in, we want them just not to have all the pain of File, New Project. Adam Stevenson created this extra page, and it was called Rules to Getting Started with Angular. So in here, he created this extra one. Do you know how to get started with Angular? Because that was the amount of pain, which I've just showed you. Here we go. And he goes, all right, here's the best IDE. He kind of wants people to use VS Code. I don't know why he's got Visual Studio here as the good example. Adam Stevenson is a very nice guy. He never wants to say anything mean. He's kind of a bit gutless to write bad example for Angular. But what he did mean was that's the good example. So anyway, so there's VS Code, and then here's the right way to get your project built, etc. And so he's given all these links off to using the Angular CLI. All right. So there's all that stuff. So yeah, basically he says go and get the Angular CLI. If you follow these steps, you'll get your project up and running. But what we've done here is we've got a project out of the box. The first thing to check on them is Microsoft giving us Angular 4. Well, let's hope. You look in package.json. And there we go. You can look here. And there's the Angular core. So it's actually 4.2. Okay, so that's pretty good. And everything else is pretty cool there. All right, and Visual Studio is as fast as ever. And yeah, but what I have some tools here. Pre-rendering. I should tell you about that in a sec. But everything is perfect. Except Bootstrap. Look, obviously Microsoft don't know the whole world is using Bootstrap 4, but if you look at, oh my God, look at that. Did you actually see that? Let me do that again. I hover over Bootstrap. Shoo. Okay, so then you can click on Bootstrap, and I know it's in alpha, but everybody uses it. Every sample project in the Sun uses it. Every one of our projects is on Bootstrap 4, and it does say alpha, but Microsoft should get with the program and change that to 4.0. And in the last few days, I think, that's changed to beta. How's that? Finally got off alpha after several years. Anyway, you change that to 4.0. Where's they need a little button here, Bill, that just says upgrade to 4. Why can't we have an upgrade? You're a man that can get things done. All right. Anyway. All right. And also, one of the problems that Angular has had is Google Juice problems. Okay, if you're building a site that is a Angular site and it's got a lot of content, Google Juice is a problem. One of the things that we now have, if you look in this Webpack config file, scroll down here. This is new. Lots of new stuff you'll discover. Where are we? I see this server-side pre-rendering. This is brand new. And what pre-rendering does is basically pre-render the pages. Google Juice finds them. Angular is already blazingly fast. Angular 2 is, anyway. This adds more milliseconds in performance as well, this pre-rendering. And this pre-rendering is a really important thing. This was done by the Google Angular team for Node, and it was done by the Microsoft team for Dotnet Core. So if you're using Dotnet Core, which is kind of the majority of our projects, basically Steve Sanderson did this from the Microsoft team, and he is here speaking. You want to go and see him. He's the guy that wrote Knockout. Don't hold that against him. But he has done all the cool stuff recently in Microsoft. So definitely get into that. And ask him, why don't we have Yarn here? Why do we have NPM? We want to be cool. Okay. So I'm just wondering, is there anything else worth mentioning? It all looks pretty cool. Oh, this is one weird decision. See this controller. If you look here, this is a web API one, and they've done it in the one project. So I would have expected that what Microsoft out of the box would do is file a new project, and they'd create a second project for your web API and put it there. But they put it here, probably for simplicity, probably because the average developer now has to waste a lot of time understanding cores, and all they're trying to do is get their project up and running. Steve Sanderson also explains this in more detail. It's got something to do with all the pre-rendering support and stuff. So anyway, all very, very, very cool. So let's, yes, you happy with what you're seeing with Visual Studio? It's looking pretty cool, right? Okay, so I just want to do what I did before in Visual Studio. Remember we went Project Awesome. You go File, New Project. You choose Core. And now this is done before. Now don't worry about that icon. I know a lot of people wouldn't click on any icon with the little VB in it. Okay, that's a bug. That doesn't happen in .NET Core 2 days. All right. So you choose Web Application, and we're in business. We've got this. If you look down those files, they are the exact files done by .NET Web. The exact files. It just looks a little different because they changed some of the ordering, special folders in Visual Studio. If you go and compare that with the Insiders version and the same, it looks identical. Start from the bottom, web.config, startup, it's all the same, except in your VS Code, they don't hide certain folders. All right, and time to debug. We press F5. How much pain do you think Visual Studio gives us? Zilch, none. Okay, alrighty, so nice. Now, the reason people use Visual Studio, obviously there's lots of cool things. I just showed you some of the authentication support built in. If you want to deploy something to Azure, you'd just come in here and go publish. I don't know anything about Azure, so what would I do as a corporate developer? I guess I'd click, well, that looks good. I'll click create profile and I'll press create. And what does it do? Oh, it seems to deploy it to Azure and it's all good. You try to do that in VS Code and you'll be trying to stuff around with command lines trying to get this going. So there's certainly a place for both, and certainly a good. It's a much richer environment, Visual Studio, as you would know. Okay, let's talk about some cool things that it does. We've got VS Code. You can go File, Open Folder, and that is a big shift forward. We aren't tied to solution files anymore. So the way that we probably should have got this a long time ago, but we have it now, and it makes it work very easily with web projects. Okay, so that's very nice. I want to tell you about a few other things. The main developer goodies in there. So I've told you, .NET Core is built in. Open as folder. Let's talk about some others. The quick installer and the roaming extension manager is miles better. I'll go through that in a sec. Lightweight solution loading. There's much better Intellisense, refactoring, and code analysis. So they've got lots of things that have come out of the ReSharper work. There's much better debugging and DevOps now. We are now seeing, when you're looking at your code, if you've instrumented it with App Insights, you can now see in the code the errors. So as you're looking at code, you can say, oh, this has had a number of errors because that feedback is coming back through the Azure portal and into your IDE. Okay, you won't get that in VS Code. We've now got Typescript debugging and in Chrome, so we don't have the dependency on IE anymore, which is awesome. Live unit testing. Live unit testing up until yesterday wasn't supported with .NET Core, and with .NET Core 2.0, it's all good to go. So that's a really exciting development. And we've got this code styling thing called editor.config. Alrighty, so now I want to just mention a few things. You've got a lot of sessions to choose from. I also just want to mention a couple of things. So you've got heaps. Oh, how did I get to there? One sec. So there's heaps of speakers to see this week. I'm going to tell you about one specific track that I would like to encourage you to look at. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ask Me Anything, but the Reddit site. Who's a Reddit reader? Anyone read Reddit? Oh, half the room. All right. So they came up with this concept where people would just go on there and say, "Ask me anything." AMA. Ask me anything. And then famous people got on it, like Bill Gates and other people, Richard Branson, and they would ask any question, and they'd answer it. Like they asked Bill Gates, "What do you normally eat for lunch? What time do you go to bed?" And of course, all his opinions on every technology under the sun as well. So we've got a number of the speakers doing that. If you look in level room 8, that's level 4. In this case, Jennifer, Tim are being interviewed, and you can go up and ask them anything. I will be interviewing very shortly. I'll be interviewing Sam Newman, and then you can come up and just ask any question you want of Sam. Okay, they're all awesome, and there's heaps of these interviews going on. So that's Room 8, Track 8. That is also being live streamed, so you can send it to your friends as well. They can watch that, and it's done by the SSW TV guys. We have a booth over there. We've got this new thing you can have a test of. It's called Sophie, and she's in our office. When you walk into the office, she recognises you, uses all the Azure cognitive services. It's pretty cool. Tells you what's on your calendar. Tells you whether you look happy. So as new people walk into our office, like a client says, "Hi, you're Tom. You're here to see Adam. Adam's already here in the office. It can tell because I've connected to the Wi-Fi. Your meeting's in 7 minutes. You can take a seat in that direction. Or if you're coming for an event, it'll say go to that direction." So it's just a kind of automated AI. It's a lot of fun. We have updated our little book of Angular. We have a little book of Angular. It's now supported for Angular 4. It's for free. It's in our booth. We have a new version of Link Auditor. I can tell you, having to watch all the people set up the booth, they are here until midnight. They are back here at 5 o'clock in the morning. There's a lot of work in all those booths. I'd encourage you to go and support all the people with stands. There's a lot of work, and I think it's awesome. So let me just finish off. I would just like to tell you there's a few resources here. One of the things, I think the most important resource here is the visualstudio.com release notes. That gives you all the updates, and there's a lot in this new version of Visual Studio, .NET Core 2. In fact, they probably could have called it Visual Studio 2018. There's that much stuff that you'll see in it. I've showed you a little bit today. We have some other ones that I haven't listed here. Rules to Better Angular, Rules to Better React. We also run a Fire Bootcamp. It's a 6-week online course. It's Angular 2, Angular 2 Plus. And tweet your favourite feature. I'd love to hear about it. If you want to ask me any questions, I'm around all week. Or send me an email, adamcogan@ssw.com.au. I'm always happy to answer questions. We have some posters over on the stand. Thank you. Cheers.